And now back to your regular programming.
If you speak better to yourself.
You showed up for probably the dumbest conversation we've ever had on this show.
Let's have that smile again.
Tell me how that happens. Physically should not happen.
Relax.
If you say
Give me as well.
3 times a day, God will line it up.
He's just an absolute hack, and he gets his ass kicked by the teammates every week. It's just terrible.
Welcome back to Hack City. Joe DeLeone, Sean Anderson, 2 former college football players from the University of Rhode Island. Today we are going to be talking about Caleb Williams. The rumors, actually not rumors, they're substantiated. Apparently he didn't want to be a Chicago Bear. We're going to talk about that story as well as Brock Purdy's new massive contract. We didn't go on Thursday, so we weren't able to share thoughts on the NFL schedule release. So we will close out with our just takeaways, biggest takeaways from the schedule release. Before we get there, Sean, can you share with our listeners a quick word from BetOnline?
I'd love to. Joe, you know when you got a bunch of friends that make more money than you and you're going on a trip with them and you're trying to keep up with the nice dinners and keep up with the nice times, how do you do that?
Gamble irresponsibly.
You hit some bet on the New York Knicks, and it's a big bet, and it keeps you moving. Bye-bye, Boston. Bye-bye, crybabies. Oh, you wanted to defend Tatum all year. He's still defendable. He got hurt. It is what it is. But I went to Bet Online. I bet against the Tatumless Celtics and won a bunch of money. Why would you set a spread so diabolically tight for a team without its star player? I'm not sure, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed seeing the Boston boring-ass Celtics go home. And now we get the performative Knicks fans up here in New York that are going to be tearing it down all month. Head to BetOnline. It's the world's most trusted betting platform, your number one source for all your sports betting action. They have the largest selection of odds on everything from MLB. James Wood hit another home run today. NHL and UFC. BetOnline remains the number one online source for all your sports wagering info. I bet they already have lines out for the next team that James Wood will be on because the Nats won't retain him because they're cheaper than dirt. So he's probably going to be a Dodger, probably going to be a Red Sox. But I bet they'll set those lines up pretty soon. In between games, head over to the BetOnline casino with all the top Vegas-style games. BetOnline, the game starts here.
Sean, this Caleb Williams story is a huge mess. There was a lot that came from it in a soon-to-be-released book by Seth Wickersham, who is an ESPN reporter. I really want to buy this book, by the way. He tracks and follows a number of quarterbacks from different levels, different eras on their path to stardom, maybe the reverse. And there was a lot of insight that was brought up with Caleb Williams and his path to becoming first overall pick and the Chicago Bears' new franchise quarterback. I think that Bears fans should feel extremely uneasy about Caleb Williams, and here's why. In that story, it talked about how Carl and his Caleb Williams' his father, they were very worried about the history of the Bears quarterbacks and how since the 80s, they haven't exactly had steadiness at the position. They didn't trust Matt Eberflus. They didn't trust Shane Waldron. That was completely justified because they were fired. Carl, the father, was trying to find ways to circumvent the draft in order for him to choose which team he played for. This was something that I actually found out about during that draft process from somebody I spoke to and almost didn't even seem real. So reading in this article was like, wow, he actually did not want to play for the Bears. Now, the other added layer to this is that apparently they had an amazing meeting with Kevin O'Connell. They were blown away by Kevin O'Connell. The trade wouldn't have happened, though. Minnesota Vikings, no way they would have traded within the division.
Right.
Just wasn't going to happen. It feels like, though, now, and it was brought up in the piece on ESPN, that there's better footing because Ben Johnson is here. Caleb Williams feels a lot more optimistic about the outlook in the future, but there was not a lot of early good vibes coming out of the situation. I think that Bears fans should feel uneasy about this because if it took before he was even a Chicago Bear to try and find a way out, there should be a fear that he might not want to stick around for that second contract.
This is a doozy of a story on all fronts, Joseph. I've been waiting for some real deal honesty. And before we get into it, Caleb Williams' dad is probably one of those dads when it comes to sports. Highly involved, fingerprints everywhere, wants to make sure that his son is taken care of in his professional environment. Whether you think that it should be left to the professionals or father knows best, that's up to you. But this is madness. This entire saga is crazy to think that a dad would try to get away from the number one pick because the Bears have sucked at quarterback, which is honest.
Right.
So we have honesty just layered into this madness, and it's rational. Oh, everyone would say, God, it sucks that he's going to Chicago to play quarterback, or Jacksonville, or all these basement teams that have turned bright prospects into busts or just guys that couldn't make it happen. They lose confidence in the NFL. A dad that's seen it happen and is highly involved in football would say, I don't want that for my son. I know his potential. I can understand that. But this is the NFL draft, man. You got to stay in it. Caleb Williams is a franchise quarterback, no matter what the franchise is. That's what his billing was coming out of college. Not a Cam Ward type prospect who is a little rough around the edges, but is super talented. Caleb Williams was billed as a franchise redemption quarterback, a guy that could turn everything around. And I like that he's going off and doing it. But if you try to go once, you're probably going to try to go again, unless things go perfectly, which Bears fans should be puckered up all year.
Well, that's my whole point with this. And like, I don't think that there's like a world where Bears fans should feel comfortable with this story coming out. And there were a lot of rumors during his pre-draft process. As I said, I'd heard about this, that he was going to lawyers. He was going to agents that had legal backgrounds and were digging as deep into the CBA as possible in order to find out some sort of a workaround. It's ironclad. It's impossible. The only way that they would have been able to do it, which was referenced in the story, was if they pulled an Eli Manning or they pulled John Elway and attacked the city of Chicago. But the problem was they realized if this doesn't work out and they don't trade him, it is going to be awkward and uncomfortable. So we might as well lean into it. Well, it is awkward and uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I have a lot of faith that the Ben Johnson era is going to work. I don't know for absolute utter certainty if it works with Caleb Williams. I think that Ben Johnson is the most creative hire that they've had, because a lot of their other hires have been like, oh, really? Is that what we're doing? Like, Nagy was a good coach, but it almost felt like really like cookie cutter. Hire the Chiefs offensive coordinator. Let's go and get the Chiefs offensive coordinator. I think that this is the first time we get to find out what the Dan Campbell coaching tree is like. A guy who has quite literally tormented you since he was his time as the offensive coordinator with the Lions. But as we just said here, if it gets to the end of this contract, his rookie deal, and he doesn't feel satisfied with the money that's being presented to him, he doesn't feel satisfied with the pieces that are being built around him, which they've done better. They've done a better job this offseason. They've gone all in on it.
The last 2 years, they've gone all in, which whether or not it all panned out, it still is respectable that they went all in, and you can't go much more all in than the Bears have recently.
They have gone in as much as they've ever gone in. But like, I have this inkling of a feeling that this contract negotiation for his second contract, and we're so far away from that, is not going to go well. If it's this much of a circus before he was even drafted, imagine what's going to happen when it is time to re-sign and him to stick around.
Yeah, the worst case scenario for the Bears is they make the playoffs once or twice over the next couple of years, but not defiantly. Like, they sneak their way in on a little bit of magic, and you don't really know if Caleb Williams is your guy because he's going to be coming for a bunch of money. You don't know if he's going to need a bunch of money or deserves a bunch of money from what he's shown. And then this also compounds on why keep Eberflus last year? Why even walk into the season with that dude, given the reports that Caleb wasn't being taught how to watch film, and if you want to go split down the middle, it should be a shared practice between the coach and the quarterback. Teach a little, take a little, teach a little, take a little. Everyone contributes, fine. But that clown show that they were operating, where you have a rookie quarterback watching film on his own of the NFL and NFL defenses, can't happen. It has to be better, at least from a communication standpoint, from coach to quarterback.
Part of me kind of thinks that they just mailed it in. Like, they knew that they were cooked, so they stopped trying. But I'm assuming this was happening at the very beginning of I don't understand why they hired Waldron. Like, that was like the biggest thing that didn't make any sense. There were already kind of like doofus alerts for Eberflus on if he was a capable head coach. He shouldn't have been hired in the first place. That Colts defense that he was hired from, Like this is part of why I feel better about the Ben Johnson hire, because I just remember back to when Eberflus was hired. I don't think anyone felt like this is going to go on to be the hire from the cycle that everyone's talking about. Like the Ben Johnson hiring is one that almost feels like that they can't even accomplish because it was the right move. Like it was just the one that everybody was saying was the guy that everybody wanted. And somehow the Bears were the team that landed him.
Somehow the Bears were the team that landed Caleb Williams, and we're working in a season of somehows here, and it should all come together. It really should. Caleb Williams is a good quarterback. I think Ben Johnson is a good coach, and they have pieces. It should come together for Chicago this year without many excuses. It came together for Jared Goff pretty quickly when Ben Johnson was introduced into Detroit with him.
And he didn't have the same amount of weapons that Caleb has this upcoming year. It was a slow build-up process for them to build around Jared Goff.
And we're Team Goff. We're hashtag golfers on this show. But we know that Caleb Williams has an A potential, whereas Jared Goff has been capped out at a B quarterback. A high B, like an 87.
He's a B.
A B.
He's an 80, 83, 84.
Oh, that's a low B.
Yeah, but you can win with a low B.
I would have some of Goff's best moments cracking him over 85, but that is not the point here. Caleb Williams has more potential than Jared Goff ever did, and now he has Jared Goff's coach that made him look like a very competent veteran in the NFL. He was floating in the water there when he was leaving Los Angeles. Didn't really know what Jared Goff was going to be. It was still relatively early in his career, and then he took off. Everyone was predicting plateau, myself included. Like, this is as good as Jared Goff is going to be. He's leaving McVay. Takes off a little bit. That's all Caleb needs. Just a little bit of takeoff and get away from the muck.
I ultimately, as like kind of we're talking about here, I have a lot of faith that the Bears are going to be a lot better this year. I have a lot of faith that Caleb's going to work within the offense. I mean, it's unbelievably loaded. The amount of toys that Ben Johnson has to work with, Colson Loveland, Luther Burden, Rome Odunze, DJ Moore, almost so many that it makes you wonder if somebody's going to get moved at some point next offseason because there's just too many different people to feed to get the ball to. Having a guy who's actually more dynamic than Goff makes the ceiling so much higher for what the Bears can do this upcoming season. But I'm not calling into question Caleb Williams' character. I know that like naturally a lot of people are rubbed off by his character. Blake is one of these people that doesn't really like Caleb Williams and his personality. I think that he is very underrated for who he is as a leader.
Sure.
But at the same time, again, I got to keep coming back to this. I feel super uneasy on how committed he is to actually wanting to build in Chicago, again, considering he did not want to be there in the first place.
Well, I think people are well within the right to be like put off a little bit by Caleb Williams because some of the things he did in college weren't really NFL quarterback-like from what we've seen. The fingernail polish, if I care or don't, different optics. Crying in his mom's arms, different optics from what we've seen historically from NFL quarterbacks. This layer now, maybe I'll go to the UFL and blow up my CBA.
I wish he did that. I wish he did that. I so badly wish he did that.
That would have been the funniest possible option.
That would have been so sick if he was running around on the Battlehawks.
They would have burned down Soldier Field. I think Bears fans are smart enough to know that it is strictly because they've been so awful at the quarterback position.
So funny.
That's why Caleb Williams is playing the UFL. Funniest possible storyline ever. Still kind of hoping he does it. I kind of want to see him abandon the Bears for a UFL team and become the face of that league. It would shake everything up. But he doesn't provide great optics or great, like, you're not going to see people like chiming in like, oh, Caleb Williams is already that dude. Caleb Williams, you can look and feel and see the part. Outside of his arm, you don't get that. But when you see his arm, it's live and he's throwing strikes 30 yards downfield, which is all that matters to me. I don't care what he dresses like, what he talks like, acts like. If you have a rocket arm and you could hit a wide receiver on a dime, play for my team. I think he can do that.
We'll see what happens. This is now going to be such a tense, like closely nitpicked situation. I don't think any other quarterback situation is going to be more, because he was already getting nitpicked. Because he was already a very polar. That was a loud sneeze. Calm down over there. He was already. Our listeners couldn't hear that. Someone sneezed so loud outside we could hear it in our apartment. He's already polarizing. He's already a guy that people root against. Now, potentially his own fan base could be rooting against him. I just don't know like the true temperature. I was listening to part of my take, and like Big Cat was saying that like he was right to not feel confident going to the Bears.
Yeah,
I think some fans feel that way, but he's also not like a true Chicagoan. Is that how you say it? Chicagoan?
Yeah, I think so. There you go.
Sure, we'll go with that. I would love to see what the true pulse is here with Bears fans.
I believe Chicago people are called goers for the Chicago. I think I'm going to start calling them goers.
You just making that one
up?
up?
Yeah. You're from Chicago? Oh, you're a goer, huh?
I don't think that one's going to stick.
It's a little joke.
I don't think that one's
a little joke for the other way of being called a goer. I know you're a goer.
I don't get
You know what a goer is?
No.
Oh, it's like a freak. Someone is ready to go anytime. Anyone.
First time I've heard that.
What?
I've never heard that before.
What you had earbuds in the locker room all the time. Goer was like
I didn't have AirPods in the locker room all the time. I was just sitting on the other side of the locker room with the specialists. We were
you guys weren't having goer, not goer conversations.
Yeah,
huh?
no, we were focused on being on time to class and making sure that somebody had to carry the team.
Hey, we needed you.
Yeah,
we needed you.
Yeah. But have you seen this Marcus Newsom guy in the chat before? This guy sucks. Have you seen him in the chat before?
No, I haven't seen Marcus Newsom. I appreciate him commenting. I mean, he's one
of the worst shit talkers I've ever seen in this chat.
He's making some good points. Joe, you miss any meals? Nope. You bum. I like it.
He said you bum on every single message that he said. This guy sucks.
He's got you he's all up in your kitchen here, pal.
He got you too. I don't understand.
What did he give me?
He said, Sean, when school starts tomorrow, don't forget your backpack, you bum, grow up. Again, awful shit talking. I don't understand. What is he calling you, a child?
Lions fan. Is he upset that we're talking about Ben Johnson? Are Lions fans still upset about Ben Johnson
I don't know. I guess so.
Grow up.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about Brock Purdy. It was announced on Friday that he is going to be now one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL. 5 years, $265 million. I was really expecting Sean to sit here today and say that the Brock Purdy contract is going to sink the 49ers. Like, I was fully ready to be all out on it. I've been saying it the entire offseason leading into this. But after I spent a lot of time reading into it, I realized I'm actually wrong. I'm completely wrong on this. So where he compares to the rest of the quarterbacks in the NFL, he's going to be making $53 million per year. That was what was reported. That puts him tied seventh with Jared Goff. Dak is making 60. Josh Allen's making 55. Joe Burrow's making 55. Trevor Lawrence is making 55. Jordan Love's making 55. Tua is making 53.1. Jared Goff is making 53. Herbert 52.5. Lamar 52. Jalen Hurts 51. He is the seventh highest paid quarterback at the position in average value per season. He's eighth in total guarantees at 181. He's fifth in total value. But what I missed, and what was not initially reported, because the initial reports always comes from the agent trying to pump up his client.
Mm-hmm.
He's actually, after 2025, the deal completely shifts to a 6-year deal where he's making $45 million a year. That is after guys like CJ Stroud, Caleb Williams, Bryce Young, all these other guys, once they get paid, he's going to be middle of the pack to the back end by the time the end of his contract comes around. So as I was sitting here ready, and I'm going to talk a little bit about how I still have some uneasiness about this.
Sure.
I was ready to say that it's too much money to commit to a quarterback because you're screwing your team. But as the salary cap increases, they're actually paying him a respectable conservative amount that gives them plenty of room to operate. I was shocked as I read into this more and more.
This is shocking from you.
I was ready to shit on it. I was.
Well, before I shit on it, I will give kudos to an NFL team that makes a decision and makes a decision fast. So they're not sitting here with the he said, she said, Kirk Cousins in Washington situation, franchise tag or not. I will, as a core principle, have a baseline level of respect. How little it is does not really concern you, but I will have that baseline level of respect for a team that says, we want this guy, we sign him now, it will pay off in the future. That is a fine approach and a smart one. But it's Brock Purdy, $50+ million as a quarterback in the NFL. Now,
I think you're hung up. I know I'm already cutting you off. I think you're hung up on him making $50+ million
That's
also
exactly
not,
what I'm.
But
hung
that's
up
also
on.
not the number, though. He's making 45 after in 2026. It becomes a 6-year contract where he's making 45 per year. It becomes, I think, 279 as the total value of it.
I don't like seeing at the top paid quarterback positions here. I don't like seeing Trevor Lawrence in there. I don't like
Obviously,
seeing
of course.
Tua Tagovailoa in there.
Yeah.
I don't like seeing Brock Purdy in there.
But he's not. He's actually lower. He's going to be lower than all of these guys.
Dude, it's Brock Purdy. And I know that he's going to if he was going to, I'd rather have him for even lower for less years to have. So in case we find another Brock Purdy, that's better than Brock Purdy, because Brock Purdy isn't going to take a big leap this year. We should all kind of know by now.
Right.
Brock
He's
Purdy
been at his ceiling.
Been at his ceiling, and his accompanying cast is already capped out. They are not going. Ricky Pearsall is not going to be a 15 touchdown receiver this year for the 49ers.
Oh, man, you better not say that.
George Pickens is not going to be George Kittle. Oh, George Pickens. Jesus Christ. George Kittle is not going to be 2018 George Kittle. Madman, no one can stop him. Ayuk's coming off of an ACL tear. That's tough. This team is getting older and slower, and Purdy at his best was when they were younger and faster.
I agree with that's where I have some uneasiness with this. I'm respecting the roster building approach because this is relatively creative and conservative for how they were able to manipulate and maneuver how much money he's going to be making. I think that we are going to feel differently about this if theoretically in the next 3 years, they end up returning to becoming a consistent playoff team. But the biggest piece with this is they have to draft better. They now have more picks because they're beyond the trade up that they had for Trey Lance. So they're starting to get back in the rhythm, but they have to draft better. They can't draft freaking Jake Moody, who sucks, who's a kicker out of Michigan that was a total waste of a pick, which I called, by the way. They can't be having misses like this. They need to start hitting on Mykel Williams and CJ West, who they got in this year's class. And Jordan James needs to be an impactful running back that they selected. They need to start hitting home runs like they were doing in the past in order for Brock Purdy to play well. And the reason why that's the case, because of what you just illustrated. He is not a guy, we can all agree, he is not an elevator. He is a guy who can be more Jared Goff-ish.
Yeah, run the system.
Right. I think that the big key here is, and Tua is the example of where your team starts to sink because Tua is not good enough to elevate, and you're paying an exorbitant amount of money to Tyreek, who's aging, and he is one of the highest paid receivers, and you can't really put money elsewhere in free agency. Their roster is cooked. Their salary cap situation is cooked. I think that there's room to maneuver this. But to help put this into perspective, in 2023, this is what the key contracts that they had when they went to the Super Bowl. Trent Williams was making 12.6. Eric Armstead was making 11.9. Nick Bosa was making 11. George Kittle was making 9.5. Fred Warner was making 9. Debo was making 8.6. Javon Hargrave was making 6.6. Brandon Ayuk was only making 3.9. And Christian McCaffrey was making 3.4. 2026, and they're projected to have $55.6 million available in cap space. This does not include the Purdy contract because most websites have not updated to this. They have to deal with $42 million for Nick Bosa. Trent Williams at 38 years old is going to be making $38 million. Fred Warner is going to be making 26. Kittle's going to be making 16. Ayuk is going to be making 15. And McCaffrey is going to be making 3.7 if they don't opt out of his contract. So I'm saying all of this. I know it's kind of like a spew dump there. There is a lot that they have to hit on their like mid to late round draft picks over the next 2 years. Otherwise, this absolutely will blow up in their face.
And they can find dudes. They can find a Fred Warner that comes in and becomes an all-pro linebacker. Like
they've done it.
Their eye for talent with veterans and defensive pieces has been very good. Their move to pick up Christian McCaffrey, that was an impact massive move. That was an NFL changing move. It pushed them to a Super Bowl. Fantastic. Team's different. We got to update it. And Kyle Shanahan is going to believe in Kyle Shanahan. Excuse you. He's going to believe in Kyle Shanahan.
I don't have a cough button. God, you want me to cough right into the microphone? Cough in your mouth. I'll grab the cough in your mouth.
You know what?
Jeez.
Get me nice and sick. Call out tomorrow.
I'm not sick. Whatever. Continue what you're saying.
Okay. Who am I talking about? Jesus Christ.
Shanahan.
Shanahan loves him some Shanahan, and he loves him some Shanahan system. He found a guy that can really, really work well at it, and that is Purdy. But that system needs young, cheap talent that is fast out of the backfield. They need young, cheap talent that can block on the outside to set up a nice little dig route for their explosive tight end to go up the seam, whatever, after the catch on the dig. But you can't keep on sinking a bunch of money into old players in this system. I've seen how it deteriorates. It deteriorated in Atlanta when it was peaking in Atlanta. Everyone was young. You had Freeman, you had Tevin Coleman, you had a bunch of pieces that were able to get worked in and new faces. And I think he does a really good job of keeping his great pieces hidden from everybody. Like he could scheme up a slot receiver super well for his traits, but once they're known, they're going to be known and they have to be keyed in on. This 49ers team is not that deep. That's concerning. They need to get deeper, and they need to be an explosive team that battles, because right now, NFC West, it's the Rams division, in my opinion. I think they have the most momentum over the 49ers. Retaining Purdy doesn't make me think, oh, well, Purdy's not leaving, so that means that they were going to hold on to that top spot. They're in a firm second right now.
I think that what this tells me, though, is that it's a commitment and a buy-in to their ability to draft and to develop guys, because they've had success. They've had more misses recently than they've had in the past because they've had less draft picks to work with, so that's kind of hamstrung them. This year they had a lot of draft picks. They need, though, CJ West and Alfred Collins to be two of the better defensive linemen on this team. One of them, if not both of them, need to be starters for your team. Nick Martin, who was an unexpected linebacker pick that they had, that everyone was like, really, is that who they were going to take? Needs to be one of their best starting linebackers. You need to get stuff out of guys like Jordan Watkins, who they drafted, and they also, Junior Bergen, like if you could turn him into a great kick returner, like gadget receiver, that is another player that they need to find value from. And he was a pick that I liked because he feels like a 49er that like everyone's like, who's this Junior Bergen guy who just had a kick return for a touchdown and a 50-yard reception?
Just lighting it up.
Right.
Yeah.
They need to kind of keep hammering this home. With a contract like this, him making $45 million a year once that new contract sets in 2026, they have to allow for these young guys to build around him and start to flourish. Because if there is any bit of a feeling out period, this will fall apart, and it will fall apart quickly. My biggest thought is, how much runway does Shanahan have? How much runway does John Lynch have? How much room are they giving them to continue to build this? Or is this something that is deemed, hey, if things don't look good after we just paid Purdy, and if they miss the playoffs this year is the better question.
Yeah.
How quickly do they get rid of him? I feel like they give him a 2-year window because they've gotten to 2 Super Bowls.
I was going to say 24 games. Like this year, I think the seats are going to stay cool regardless. It is the first year of the contract. Fine. Second year, those first 8 games, if something hasn't really improved, and I know we're now typecasting for the early 2027 season, but if there's not significant improvement from the last 8 weeks of this upcoming year and the first 8 weeks of the year following, they're going to be in some trouble because they'll be in the same exact position they are right now. Last place you want to be if you're a team missing the playoffs is the exact same spot. You either get better or you get worse. Staying the same does nothing for you. So with the age, with all of that, they have to show some signs of life at the end of this year. I don't even need them to make the playoffs. I think they might.
I think that
but
they
I don't
can.
need them
I mean,
to.
just know they were in the blender last year with injuries.
Yeah,
like they could not have been in that. And that was why I think I was a big critic of Purdy, and I still am. I'm like, I need to see him play a lot better. When you don't have a lot of your top weapons available, and you see the offense take a step backward, and you see less explosiveness, and you see the true self that Purdy was, that was the sobering reality that we were now stepping into. That was the like, oh shit, this is, I think a lot more people started to realize like there is a clear cap to this. And if we don't have that cast and everything like really hits the fan and a lot of those guys are hurt, this team has a very low floor. And that has always been my criticism. That has always been my point, is they were as bad as they were this year because the floor is a lot lower than it is when you have a premier athlete, like if they were able to develop Trey Lance into what everyone hoped that he could have been.
Yeah, and they got lucky. I mean, realistically, this regime should have been out a couple years ago.
I know. If they didn't have
they would have
Purdy,
been gone.
That's honestly why I think they gave him the contract. It's almost like a due
Saved their
diligence.
ass.
Yeah, it's like you kind of saved
Hey,
us.
thanks, pal. We'll
Right.
make it right for you. Thanks.
Here's another Toyota commercial.
You know what? Maybe if you're in a Toyota commercial, you're worth $45 million a year as a quarterback. But
Whatever that means.
That felt ham-fisted. Oh, we're going to throw Brock Purdy in, Mr. Irrelevant. I'd rather see him doing regular local ads, Mr. Irrelevant shtick, for car dealership.
Brock Purdy, come on over to get your new Chevy Equinox at Johnson's Chevy.
That's a nice irrelevant car, a nice Chevy Equinox. Go ahead, be that guy.
All the rates that you're going to get are pretty average. They do the job. I'm Brock Purdy.
You know what? The Brock Purdy irrelevant car dealership.
I don't think he talks in those ads. I don't mean to cut you off. Now that I think about it,
you do mean to cut me off. You jump in it. I think he does talk in some of the ads.
Does he?
Yeah, didn't he have like it wasn't Gatorade. He had some other type of ad.
It's not a guy who I want talking.
I want him selling Pontiacs and Subarus and Chevys and all these cars that are very unassuming. And they just kind of get the job done if you know how to drive. That's what I want him doing post NFL. That would be that'd get me there. If I want a boring car, starter car, yeah, I'm going to Purdy's Mr. Irrelevant dealership.
I need him doing a local law firm ad in San Francisco. I went to Smith & Smith's when I got into my legal trouble.
When I countersued Kyle Shanahan, I went to Smith & Smith.
Oh God, yeah, it's funny seeing him in a Toyota. He's like I know he just doesn't exude like a really just like, well, hey, this guy makes me want to buy a Toyota truck.
Here's the tough thing about Purdy. He's a handsome quarterback in the league. I'd say pretty average on the quarterback.
I'd be picking an offensive lineman to be selling trucks.
But he's got rosy cheeks and he's got a button nose that's also red. And I'm like, he doesn't really look like an NFL quarterback to be selling you stuff.
Right.
He should just be the man. That's what he should be. All right, this is Brock. I'm Brock Purdy. I'm the man. I saved you guys for a couple of years. That should be his bit. Not button down jeans and Wrangler commercials.
Well, he's a farmer. He's from Iowa. No, he's not. He's from Arizona. Wait a minute. Wait.
Didn't his parents own a jacuzzi shop in Arizona?
Yeah, wait a minute. Because there was this.
I'm
whole
sure they
shit.
need hotter water.
Wait, hold a minute. Wait, I'm like starting to realize something here. Because like, there's his girlfriend or his fiance like was posting TikToks of like him during the bye week or during the off season. He was on a farm. Like and all that shit. Like, wasn't that some whole thing? Like,
was he cosplaying?
He's from Gilbert, Arizona. Am I crazy? Am I not understanding
was he on a
farmland or something?
Was he on a dirt farm? What was he farming in Arizona? I don't know what you
wait.
I know that I'm letting the listener know right now. I'm gonna avoid a hacky cactus joke. I just will.
Oh wait. Oh no, go ahead, make your joke.
No. I just because that's the first thing anyone would say is
farming
cacti in Arizona.
I think his girlfriend owns a farm, and he was helping out on the farm during the bye week. I think that still doesn't really. I kind of hate that was like sold to us that like, oh, it's just in his DNA. He's just a farmer. He's just a farmer guy that needs to be out there farm. I think that was propaganda by Toyota.
Why is my NFL quarterback on a farm with all that big equipment during a bye week in the season? Hey, pal, get your feet up.
Yeah. Also, why would his girlfriend condone that? He should have been on a beach somewhere. He should have been just in a jacuzzi,
cryo chamber, anything. Get your body right. Get your mental right. You're out there.
Maybe I'm out on it. They're paying him too much money.
You're out there.
I don't like something's fishy here.
Baking in the sun. He is a.
What are we doing?
He's a Midwestern plant. That's what he is. They're trying to get all the yokels.
No, that was some Toyota convinced they were in a marketing meeting in the off season, and his girlfriend was like, "Oh yeah, my family owns a farm," and Toyota was like, "Wait a minute. What if we plant?" Because you and I almost went along with this. He went to school in Iowa. What if we plant that he's a farmer? Meanwhile, he is more Silicon Valley than he could possibly be. He's from freaking near Gilbert, Arizona, which is not farmland. It's dry as shit there. Unless I don't know anything about Arizona. I've been to Gilbert before. not a lot of farms over there.
Yeah.
I mean, he's basically somebody who goes to school in Arizona and then goes getting hired in private equity in freaking San Fran.
I know people love Arizona. I know they do, and that some days it could just be perfect.
Uh-huh.
From my view of Arizona, from their stadiums,
It's hot as all shit.
It looks
hot as all
hot
shit.
through
It's
the
hot as all
TV.
shit.
Like it's hard to be a city that you're sitting down like in your bed at night. You got the AC on, and you turn in, and you see the Arizona. It's like that city looks hot as shit. I'm not going there.
I know we're going down a rabbit hole here. We're going to move on 1 second. I hate the cowardice of the Diamondbacks and the Cardinals of playing indoors in those. And I've been in the Cardinals stadium before, have not been in the D-back stadium. I hate that they play in that stupid air-conditioned stadium. Call this. We're too woke these days, okay? When it comes to stadiums,
Okay.
use your weather as an advantage. That used to mean something.
Play
That
football
used
outside.
to mean something.
Yeah.
And if anything, you build the dome in a cold area in order to be able to host a Super Bowl. I was there for the Fiesta Bowl a couple years ago. It was perfectly warm. It was 60 degrees. That's great football weather.
You think
Perfect.
It would actually also all of these. I love. Geez, now you're getting me. This is a great rabbit hole because we've talked about all of these soft ass warm weather teams going up north in the playoff time and looking soft as hell. Well, every time that they're hosting in these domed stadiums in the South, the teams from up north are just getting a nice, easy walkthrough. There's no competitive advantage of being in the South with the dome because you're just playing indoors.
Well,
use the heat. You're going to have people gas.
How many times do we talk about when a team from some other part of the country is traveling to play in Gainesville against Florida? And it's like, oh, yeah, these guys look awfully dehydrated because they're sweating their balls off. The NFL doesn't get it, man. We're losing recipes. Something was lost along the way, damn it.
Miami still kind of gets it because they like to game the system, putting the opponent team in the baking sun, and it keeps them.
First thought.
It's Miami over the last while Josh Allen has been in Buffalo, Miami has never had any reason to compete with them, let alone beat them. But they have, and that's been in Miami in the heat because Orchard Park isn't cracking 90 in the summer during training camp.
No.
It's a resting 90 in Miami from June to probably October, I'd say. I haven't been down there in October, but it's going to be hot for a while. Use it to your advantage.
When we buy the FCS, this is going to be all part of our, no, sorry, I forgot. I actually already forgot what the Grimace League. I already forgot. We're not buying the FCS. We already started our own league. We have 0 members. We're working on it. We gotta get back on track with that, by the way.
Well, here's the thing.
We gotta start booking some of those people that we need to convince.
Every stadium in the Grimace Conference or the Grimace League has to be
purple field,
field, but also outdoors. You don't get a dome.
Yep.
Sorry.
Yep.
This is a football stadium.
Yep.
You want to have a concert? Take it to the local theater. They'd be happy to have it. They'd be more than thrilled. Go perform. They have the sound equipment. They got everything you need. This is a football field where Grimace Conference League members play.
And it should like put whatever the conditions are outside to an extreme. Like if it's raining, it should automatically make the field soggier. Like it shouldn't. No drainage. When it's cold out. No heaters. And heaters don't work.
We're going to be hostile in the Grimace Conference.
Yeah.
If you see somebody not wearing purple, free reign. Go ahead.
I vote. By the way, I vote on this. We didn't talk about this during the season. I think that when both teams play, there's no home and away colors. It's just purple.
Purple on purple?
Yeah, it's just purple on purple.
That'd be tough for the.
They'll figure it out. The helmets. That's how you differentiate. Is the helmets.
Fans would have a tough time.
They'll figure it out. The numbers.
No.
That's how you know is the numbers.
That's BS.
Big font on the chest to tell you what the name of the team is. We figured it out. We fixed it.
That is only opening the door for more on-screen graphics during a football game, which I loathe and detest. I don't want to circle under a player watching football.
Wait a minute. So then also, I mean, we're really rolling here with fire, just complete fire here.
Mm-hmm.
Score bug, all purple. Stands, all purple. Track around the field, all purple.
I don't want track around the field. I don't want no.
That's not the vibe that you're going for.
No, a football field, purple stadium, purple wearing fans. And if you want the score bug to be purple, that's fine. We're not having a track around the field.
Okay, no track around the field. Purple stands.
That would get removed if there are teams. I know there are Grimace League teams right now that have a track around their field. we're
Yeah,
pulling
we
that
gotta
thing
work-
out.
we gotta-
We're pulling
we-
it
we
out,
gotta work on that.
and we're adding in just more seats closer to the field. It's gonna be
Sure.
like
What-
Lubbock. We're getting right up on you.
What if we do a beer garden in replace? Like the beer garden is the track now, so like the beer garden just goes around the stadium.
You want to do like a reverse horse race where we have just a bunch of drunks on the track, and then
Yeah,
I like that.
I think we're on to something here.
You
And
know
we
what?
just
We can
we
keep the track.
reinvented sports.
We
We just
can-
reinvented sports.
We can keep the track if the drunks want to, race each other and then be nice and rowdy during the, you know what? And now we got our halftime entertainment fan races, 100 meters.
All right, wait. We're skipping the schedule release stuff because I just also remembered something that I want to bring up because we got a couple other things to get to that we have with Hack of the Week and with the Hack Bag. This made me think of that when you said have drunks racing each other. So I went to this weekend. My girlfriend, where she's going to business school right now, had her formal, her spring formal for the business school, and it was at the Tennis Hall of Fame in Newport. And when we were some of the first people there because it was an open bar, and I was like, let's get there early so we can start drinking now. They had two guys like where everything was, where all the food was, like it was around a very nice finished grass tennis court. And there were two guys on it that were just playing like fake tennis. They were the whole time we were there, they were drinking and playing tennis. They were paid actors to be there playing tennis. They were just dicking around. They were just like doing trick shots and stuff like that. Yeah, two guys that were like in very old school tennis get-ups, like coat jackets, pinstripe coat jackets with really old rackets. We're drinking beers and we're going back and forth, just rallying the ball back and forth to one another. It was the best bit that I was like, this is great.
That is hilarious. Do you know last night I had the complete white trash inverse of that?
What was
where
it?
I was standing at a bar and there was like a chained in area for ping pong. And people would just go play high stakes ping pong against each other under the lights with people on the
that's
chain
actually great.
talking to them. So you were watching the nice tennis gentleman. I was watching people losing it over ping pong.
See, I thought that was what it was. Like we were standing there and I'm like, did these guys go to school with you?
Right.
And Christina was like, no, I don't. I
mean, that's the best job ever. I could
drink beer. I said that. I'm like, are they hiring to just drink beers and rally the ball back and forth for an hour until you get tired?
I get to play a sport in front of an audience that is basically hostage. So they're going to be looking at me no matter what.
Yes.
And there's no stakes. So I can just do all my sweetest moves, putting
that was
crazy
basically what they were
spin on
doing.
the
They
ball.
weren't good enough to do anything like that, but they were like trying to knock the ball between their legs and stuff like that. It's a great bit.
It's a great job.
All I can think of though is like what could be a recreated variant of that.
You know what? I'll tell you right now. We'll do a Hack City event where you just stand in a batter's box the whole time, and I'll be on the mound until we hit 100 pitches, and we'll go 100 pitches.
Instead of us doing an event, like actually putting an event on, people are coming and watching us do.
And you watch me
batting practice.
Absolutely rifle baseballs down the pipe at Joe DeLeone, who will get hit by a couple. If I have 100 pitches, you're going to get beaned probably 3 or 4 times.
Wait, so what's the goal? It's just 100 pitches? That's what it is?
Well, you know what? I think it would be fun to have a listener 999 competition, but we can't do 999 if I got you in the box and batting. Like I want to see who our most Hack City-ish listener is, and that's whoever could pull out a 999. And if we are the entertainment, and I'm just up there heaving, just fastballs, and I'm gonna get you off that plate. Also, you're gonna be back corner, back left corner. You're not hugging my plate, pal.
You think you got 100 pitches in you right now without throwing your elbow out?
Well, here's the thing, I don't. But the fans are.
So I just got to stand in the box and kind of wait for you to slow down.
Here's
pitch 30 is going to be looking a lot different.
My baseball mechanics, it's similar to golf. Once I start getting lazy, I'm not like rotating the hip a bunch, and that takes a lot of velo off.
Sure,
I'll stop my stride short and basically do just a very hard forearm dart to hit the strike zone.
Okay.
You could make some contact, but you will be terrified.
All I can think of is me getting really lucky, and the only time I make contact, it comes right back at you because my only like with my luck, if I actually make contact and I hit it, it's not going anywhere cool. It's not going anywhere far. No one's gonna be like, "Whoa, did you see that?" No, it's gonna come right back at you and hit you right on the nose, and we'd have to take you to the hospital.
Like if we were gonna have people
Completely ruin the event.
we would have to really be doing the grueling work, because I don't want the listeners coming out and feeling they have to do the work. They should be having fun watching us too. So,
I think you're onto something here.
So it would either be 100 pitches, pitcher bound to you batting. We got to find a catcher, or it's just an hour straight of one-on-one drills. I'll let you try to get the edge on me.
Wait, like basketball?
No, football. You could just be.
Oh, so we go full pads.
Pads.
Okay.
And I'll go full pads.
I actually kind of like that bit too. But I mean, like full contact, an hour of us doing that.
I'm not going to be happy with it. But I can't give up a sack to you. I'll be over forever. That'd be enough to make me want to quit.
See, that's making me think, though. I like this idea where if we ever held an event, it wouldn't be people. It would be perceived as if they're showing up to watch us do a show. But in reality, we're doing some athletic feat that we're both out of shape for and not in condition for.
We could do a show.
So one of us gets hurt.
Yeah, we could do a show wherever. We could do a show in front of people and set it up and do some nice audience bits and shtick and all that.
No, I don't want that. I don't want to Yeah, I want the audience to no interaction. Like we pretend that they're not there.
You're coming to see an absolute. You're coming to see the show. All right, not us doing a show. You're coming to see an absolute show between us two.
That also makes me think of, though, how sick it would be just like to have an event and then set up board drills on the side. Just pay a bunch of actors to do board drills on the side. I think that'd be cool.
You
do one-on-ones.
What do you think how do you think SAG would feel about the liability contracts for actors doing board drills on the side?
Okay, what if we did 7-on-7? What if we did full padded 7-on-7?
Yeah, it's too many people moving around. I'd rather do one-on-ones
like
on the outside.
Field.
Yeah, 7-on-7. 7-on-7 as a concept is great because you could just run your route against your man, and if the quarterback finds you, you have a chance to make a play. But it's not great visually because there's nothing to grab you. Like watching football, you watch the line, and then you watch the quarterback, and then it develops and it pans over the field. If you're just casually watching 7-on-7s, it's craziness. It's just a bunch of guys running a bunch of routes, and it feels less structured.
But if we ever had like a Hack City corporate event, like it needs to be something like the tennis instance where like you don't really you see it's happening, and then it takes you like you order your drink, you're eating a little bit of some hors d'oeuvres, and then you look over and you're like, those guys are playing tennis. Are they a part of the event? Are they paid? Like it took this whole process where it was part of like the opening conversation I was having with people I didn't know. I was like, do you think these guys are actors? And it was a good, easy conversation. So if it ends up being the board drill, everyone's gonna be like, oh shit, there's a lot going on over here. But if it's group 7-on-7 or it's group like like the Senior Bowl where you've got the wide receiver DB one-on-ones, you get the tight end linebacker one-on-ones, we just get a group of 20 guys and we just keep lining it up and throwing fade routes to the back of the end zone.
I mean, we could set it up where you just, if you win a rep, you move on. If you don't, you're out. I mean,
no. I just want him to keep going. I think it can't be that complicated. Just keep going, running routes.
There has to be king of the castle, or else everyone's just out here getting cardio in.
But that's the
premise. They might as well watch it's
a part of the setting,
a sit-up competition.
No, I think it's a little more interesting than that. It's kind of. It's like kind of having on a game on in the background.
Well, this has to be a fall event because I don't think many people are going to be jumping to run routes and more importantly cover routes at full intensity in the summer heat.
Okay, what else could you and I do as an event? I do like this concept if we did like one-on-ones, like me running routes and then you covering me and then the inverse of that. I don't think that me pass rushing you is a good idea.
I got a good one for you.
Okay, what do you got?
All right, here's one that I have done before because I've needed to be handicapped in events like this.
Okay.
We could do 2 gloves for Joe, 1 glove for Sean boxing match or lax boxing match.
I don't like that.
You get 2 gloves. I only get 1 hand. I only get 1 hand to work with.
So we're getting helmets? 2.
Yeah, we can lax box, lax gloves, lax helmet.
I don't like this.
Why not?
No, you're a lot bigger than I am.
Yeah, but when we were in high
school, we're not in the same.
Exactly. That's why I only get 1
weight class.
When I was lax boxing in high school with all my degenerate friends who would basically have our own fight club in a friend's basement.
As one would.
I was not a 2 glove person because I was bigger than everyone. So I would have 1 glove while everyone else would have 2. Or if we only had 2 gloves, I would have the left hand. What if I had lefty and I didn't get to use big right here? 1 left-handed glove.
No. I'm not for that one. I'm not for this one. We need to come up with better. a better bit. Let's get to hack of the week. I've got something that's from the same event that I was referencing that I was at. Do you have anything before I get to this?
I've been waiting to see. I mean, your description here, I don't even want to bury it because it's so.
The guy who sucks actually rocks.
Nice.
Yeah, so I told you about this guy already before, remember? Okay. So my girlfriend goes to a very academically rigorous business school.
Mhm.
A lot of people that are going to go on to make a lot of money from this business school that are very well-educated people. Some of them seem a little judgmental. One of my girlfriend's friends has a friend who's a boyfriend who is like me, does not at all relate to the circle of individuals who are enrolled in the school. Meaning he is also a dumb meathead from the East Coast. Yeah. He's from Philly. He couldn't be the most from Philly person ever. I had been from everybody hearing, this guy sucks. This guy sucks. We don't like being around him. This guy sucks. Kept hearing that from so many different people. And I'm like, okay. So my automatic perception was like, this guy sucks. One time, the first time that I met him, we were at a bar watching a college football game. He comes into the bar and he's the guy doing the, I don't really watch sports bit. And that wasn't very fun. So already off the bad footing. But after I started to talk to him, I realized that this guy was freaking awesome. I just realized that everybody there thought they were too smart to appreciate how great this guy is. Because he's a bit of a dipshit, but he's the good, entertaining kind of dipshit.
Okay.
I was talking to him while everybody had wandered off to go do their own thing. Me and him were having, real meeting of the minds while everyone was talking about more important shit like their class projects and their exams and whatnot. And he was telling me, I was so blown away by this concept and entertained by, he travels a lot for work. He works in robotics, which sounds freaking awesome.
It rules.
Doesn't come off as somebody who works in robotics. And he was telling me how when he travels for work, he doesn't know where he's going. He quite literally will get on planes and travel to cities, doesn't check the destination, doesn't check where he's staying, the hotel, or any of that stuff, what city it's in. He just gets on the plane, gets off the plane, and goes where he's going. So he was telling me this past week, he went to Wilmington. Didn't know what Wilmington. He didn't know if it was Wilmington, Virginia. He didn't know if it was Wilmington, North Carolina, or Wilmington, Delaware. He was telling me that he does this on a weekly basis, that he goes to cities and he doesn't know what city he is traveling to. He just ends up there, doesn't care, and then leaves. And that is, I have never been more impressed and also appreciative of that mentality. That was awesome. It's the coolest thing that I've heard. Am I off here?
Yeah, you're not off for you because you, terrible traveler, would be excited about this. Like a noted Joe DeLeone anti-traveler.
I'm not an anti-traveler. I like going.
You said I don't want to know where I'm going and I want to get the hell out. That does not indicate that you are an impassioned individual about travel and
it's an interesting concept. No, but you can expand your horizons by exploring an area where you don't even know where you are.
You know what that guy's going to do? He's going to meet a guy from Wilmington one time, and he's going to say, I enjoyed Wilmington. And then which Wilmington? I don't know. And then that guy is going to be in a blender that he wouldn't even imagine.
I need to introduce you to this guy.
I'd like to meet him.
I think there's actually a shot you might meet him because my girlfriend's friend is, I believe, interning in the city. So when my girlfriend comes and visits, I think that there's a shot that we could end up converging and this guy could be.
I could talk all night with this guy.
He's the greatest guy. The most unique personality that I've ever interacted with.
Okay, so you're actually on a hot streak here of people that are around you that I find terribly
the pariahs. Yeah,
the gentleman you had in here a couple weeks ago,
my stepbrother,
super interested to talk with him. Like if I could have 2 hours with him, my week is better just because I get to see one of these people and really talk to him. And
I attract them. Like. I don't know what it is. Well, here's the key though. Here's the big key. And I might get aired out for this. I don't care. My stepbrother is not well liked. He is not.
He's well liked by me.
He comes off as abrasive, and it's very similar to this guy that is a friend or is my girlfriend's friend's boyfriend. I am willing to appreciate and understand the very unique personality quirks of these individuals, while everyone is very quick to cast these people off.
Of course.
There's just so much to tap into.
You've seen my abrasive friend and have gotten to know him very well.
Chance.
Very abrasive.
I don't think he falls anywhere near the category of my stepbrother or this guy.
He got you signed up for an AMC membership.
That was because I was actually, I thought that I was actually interested in doing that.
That's what he does. He's a
That's
salesman. He's a salesman. You took the bait.
No.
What is wrong with you?
No.
You took the bait. With this guy that your girlfriend's friend's boyfriend, would he walk into this apartment and just piss in my bathroom without asking?
Easily.
Yeah,
he wouldn't even ask.
Cool. All right, this
is a guy who would open the fridge without asking. He'd be like, "What do you guys got? You got any beer in here?" He's that type of a vibe.
I was at one of my best friends. I've noticed since kindergarten. This dude this past weekend, staying at his crib. I was on tiptoes. I was just
really,
clean up after myself like crazy. That's how I operate in other people's homes. I don't know how these dudes that you're finding, how they eat.
I don't know what it is.
That is crazy. You're just walking around.
I attract these odd people.
Maybe they're savants and they just cannot be.
Well, he does work in robotics, but I don't know if I would count that as some level of being a savant.
I'll say this: saying that you can work in robotics may be the coolest field to say you can.
And I got no idea what he does in robotics, nor do I want him to explain it to me.
It's just robotics.
I think that would be awesome. Just be as vague as possible.
If someone walked up to me and said, "I'm a cattleman," I'd say, "You're the coolest dude I've ever met." And I don't know if that's you're herding cattle or killing them. I don't know. But that's just a badass job name, an oil man. Yeah, you selling it, you pulling it out, you kicking people off the land. You're just an oil man.
Bathing in it?
Yeah.
Is it baby oil? Is it an oil rig?
Seed oil? What do you do?
This guy,
I'm an oil man.
This guy could just be his sole job could be just running up and punching robots. It's just full speed kicking them. Like you see in those videos. He could not be qualified. He told me he's got like a master's degree or some shit.
Sure.
But he could be like the bottom of the totem pole. Like, hey man, we don't trust you to actually design and build these things, but you're just gonna get to beat the shit out of him. He could be that guy, and I love to believe that.
I'd like to have him in I'm picturing him in the suit that the K9 unit trainers wear. So he's actually taking the punches from the robots. So he just goes around and says, "I work in robotics," but he's just being the human versus robot strength test. Because you can't send robots out in the world without knowing what the damage they can do to humans.
This is the unpublished studies that we don't get exposure to because there's no known examples of this. You think that this guy's just getting beat in the head?
Oh, I'd love
Oh, God. Yeah. Oh, I need to believe that this is true.
Everything's tested. We know they're safe. How do you know they're safe? Well, we've done tests and practices, and we have a gentleman that will come in and get pounded by this robot for 8 hours.
He's just the most meat-headed Italian guy from Philly, and I really appreciate that you haven't met him, but you're fully understanding of how I'm describing him.
I love
You're
this
absolutely on the same page. I need to figure out how to get this guy up here.
Mm-hmm.
I need to figure out how we just don't want. We need to pull him away from the group, and we need to interact with him.
You know, I would drink with him all night and ask him about the inner workings of everything that we like. Every jukebox, like the touch tunes. I'd say, "Hey, man, you think you could take that apart right now? You think you could?"
Yeah, everyone really loves that. Everyone really loves being told that.
I got you, but I gotta know. I like seeing how that other half lives. Like the left is left brain the analytical math side.
I wouldn't know.
Neither would I. Whatever the math side of the brain, those people I cannot get enough of. I get plenty of the right side, creative. Everyone's got a take. Everyone's got a narrative. I like seeing the freaks, the robotics.
I genuinely think that the Ivy Leaguers, when they talk to me, when I go and visit my girlfriend, I think that that's what they're trying to do to me. Because when I tell them, "Hey, what do you do for work?" I explain it, and they go, "Oh, what did you think of the Patriots draft class?" They're all Patriots fans. They all ask me that. What did you think of the Patriots draft class? I'm so sick of answering that I just ask them. I'd just go, "Oh, well, what did you think?"
I'd start cracking these people open. I'd start talking about the robot dogs from Boston Dynamics. I would crack these people because you're asking me about my field, sports. That's easy. I'm gonna start asking about what you do. What do you do with these machines?
No. Trust me. Trust me.
Open.
No, I get so bored. I get so bored listening to them talk about what they do. It's so boring. And
you're not asking the right question. You got to get them. You got to find what fires them up.
No. Sean, have you had a conversation with someone who works in consulting? Have you had a conversation with somebody who works in finance?
I live with both of
they
those guys.
Are.
Yeah.
And I respect them because they go on to be the most successful people. But there's a reason why they light up when you tell them that you work in sports, because they immediately don't want to talk about the fucking spreadsheets that they're, what did you do today? Yeah, I worked on a presentation for a staffing company.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
I'm already punching out. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
At least in the like working in sports, like you can always, talk a little gossip, talk about other shows, what's going on. Like something's always happening where you can have good, fresh small talk about the industry.
There's a reason why when you go and you interact with these people, and I'm sure that eventually, as the more that you're eventually around me, that you're going to eventually start to get to be more around these people.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason why they all want to talk about is golf. Why they all want to do is talk about the sports that's happening. Because what they're doing for work is so mind-numbingly boring. It's just so unbelievably. You will never hear them talking about their work. Like when we talk about Ryan's a great example. Yeah. Whenever I talk about Ryan, we just talk. We go to the combine. All we do is talk ball for the whole weekend.
Right.
No one that's in this field wants to stop talking about the field.
It's fun. It's a fun field to talk about. It's almost more fun than the actual than the sports that are going on, because I can't do that, but I can get some skinny on some people and really have a good time.
Right.
Oh, that's why he said that. Oh, okay.
Right.
I'm getting it.
Oh God. I got a good laugh out of that though. All right, let's talk about Hackbag. I know we have one voicemail, 201-834-4308. Call in. You know what?
Here, wait. That information to you.
Wait. I want this week, callers, please. Callers. I have a new pitch for this week. And maybe I need to do a better job of this. I need to get people to give us good stories. I want everybody to pitch me their most awkward experience of interacting with either your significant other's family or friends of your significant other. I want to find out the most. I know people have stories because we've got some good call-ins. I want people to call in. What was the moment you realized, I do not fit in around these people? I want that. I want those call-ins to happen. 201-834-4308.
The mail never stops.
This is the Hack Bag. Hit us on Twitter for questions or call at 201-834-4308.
Oh, we removed the ring dial, by the way.
I am going to explain after the voicemail. I don't like you having privileged information of the voicemails that are coming in.
And then you also played it in front of me.
Yeah, I didn't.
Okay, go ahead.
I had to get it in.
Part of the problem might be that it takes way too long to, get the answering machine. Too many rings. But anyway, my question is, will Mark Gronowski do anything with Iowa, or is he just going to be a game manager because they run too much? Thanks.
Cutting off the callers.
Sorry. I'm very high on Gronowski, what he's going to do at Iowa. I think that he is going to be one of the most, and I love that he went to Iowa. He is going to be one of the most eye-opening experiences in college football this year, because so many just egotistical college football fans of some of these fan bases are going to be like, oh, the D2 quarterback, FCS, D2 quarterback who transferred up is going to, what is he going to do? We're not really worried about him. And he's going to have a couple of nutty games.
Yeah.
Just Mark Gronowskiing it up, running past everybody. He's going to have like a 150-yard rushing game, something crazy like that. Nobody's going to be prepared for. I think he's going to have a good season. I think he's going to have an impactful season. Maybe a Curtis Rourke-like season.
I'm excited for him. I saw great growth from Gronowski when he had good weapons around him, and I didn't even think he took a big step back when he lost the Yankees and he lost the guy Tucker Kraft and all these guys that were NFL guys. I think he's going to be solid. Additionally, sir and listeners, when you call in at 201-834-4308, the ring is gone. So it will be right direct to question. No need to wait on the phone line for a long time anymore. Thank you to the gentleman asking about Mark Gronowski.
Yes.
We will no longer have a long-ass ring before you have to leave a voicemail. So hopefully that encourages you to do so. Huh? Maybe one or two? Maybe we have a good Tuesday? Maybe those Tuesday calls lead us into a really good Thursday? And then we're happy on Sunday. And then everyone's good. And we're, and then me and Joe are palling it up, bumping shoulders, wrestling, that'll be fun. That's a fun Sunday that we could have. But we need a good Tuesday first.
Yeah, we need a good Tuesday first. Any others?
Yes, we do have others. Let me cue these jokers up here for you. Bear Claw Media sent one in. He was also favoring the foosball with RC cars, bumping off of his RC car pitch. I saw that. Their question: if you could redo college over again, what's one FBS and FCS school you would choose to play for and why? Obviously, you or I can't be a choice. Also, Joe can't choose Notre Dame because I said so.
No, it's fair. I think that admittedly, I like my first thought, I'd want to go play at a G5 school. Like I think it'd be really a cool experience to get to play for like an App State or
You're being realistic.
like
about,
UMass. Yeah, like somewhere like I'd actually get on the field because I know these big school program guys, they recruit tight ends that they think can snap basically these big strong guys. Rutgers, I know that's a Power 4 program. I would have loved to have played at Rutgers, but like UMass would have been sick. Coastal Carolina is one that comes to mind. I tell you what, running out for Virginia Tech would have been cool. That stadium is awesome.
It is cool.
What about you? What do you got for
Eastern Carolina would have been awesome because everyone that I know that went there
for your FCS answer?
It's nice there. It's
Okay.
nice at ECU. Oh no, if I could do it over again.
Eastern Carolina.
Yeah,
I think you said Eastern Kentucky.
No,
I've heard it's a good time, good party time there.
Yes. That's a good
pick.
That's where I would have gone. But if I could do it over again, I would have gone to JUCO out of high school because I was a very late bloomer. I was not weight room
Could've
strong.
gone to Fork Union.
And I could have gone to Fork Union. And when I was playing, there was a big boom. JUCO guys got big scholarships to big schools. So you have 1 to 2 years grinding it out in JUCO, getting some reps, go to a big school after that. That would have been my move if I had, that's what I should have done out of the gate.
FCS would have been sick to play. I mean, we've traveled to these places. South Dakota State would have been sick.
Yeah.
North Dakota State would have been sick. Montana. Like I would have wanted to get really out of my sphere and like go all the way over to that part of the country. That would have been sick.
Montana would have been awesome. I felt God in that stadium. That was great. I hate the cold. I'd never play there. That's just not happening.
True.
That's not happening.
We froze our nuts off in November.
I am not a cold weather person. You may look at me and say, "Oh, how is that possible? You're built for it." I hate it. Can't stand it. This past winter up here in New Jersey, almost broke me. It almost broke me.
It was a rude awakening coming back to that from the West Coast. I will say that much.
I'd go somewhere warm.
Oh, FIU would have been a good one. Low expectations for football. You're right near the water. That would have been a good one. There's a lot of FCS schools in Florida and like fun areas that I can think of.
I'm sure there are. I'm sure. I mean, like
I would go to a party school. That would have been the priority.
I would have loved to go to Georgia Tech. Good school in
You
Atlanta.
ain't got Georgia Tech brains.
Oh, I'd be all up in there. All up in Tech. Go Yellow Jackets. Getting the hell beat out of us by Georgia. No home fans. Doesn't matter. I'm in the A, baby. Nothing could stop me.
All right. Do you want to save the other question that we got from him?
Yeah, we will save the other questions for Tuesday. 201-834-4308. We love when you contribute to the show, so please continue to do so.
All right. We'll be back Tuesday at Joe DeLeone, at Hack City Pod, at Sanderson Radio. We'll talk to you later. I don't know why I pointed at the camera.